To put the good in your morning. You're watching the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14. Today, one Wisconsin kid takes to the school board to petition for more recess.
All right, dreary Wednesday, but it's worth the wait because we're going to dive into a Thanksgiving forecast that absolutely cannot be beat. The latest from the Skywatch Weather Center.
And we'll take a look at how Thanksgiving dinner is going to look a little different at a local homeless shelter. The KOAM Morning News on Fox 14 starts now.
Thanks for joining us on the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14. I'm Tanya Bach. A couple of local manufacturers see differing effects on demand due to COVID-19. Modine Manufacturing in Joplin makes heat transfer products and says at the start of the pandemic, demand for their products decreased 50%. And now plant officials tell us demand is higher now than it was prior to the pandemic, but they're coming up short on workers.
People. They have sent us everybody they have, and that's it. And it's interesting with unemployment rate much higher than it was, say, 8-9 months ago before the pandemic. It seems like it's more difficult to find people now than it was then.
There we go. McDonald County Health Department is reporting 4 more COVID-19 related deaths. They didn't provide us any information about the patients. These latest deaths bring the county's total to 21. Carthage City Council will hold a special meeting today to discuss a possible mask mandate. That'll be at 3:15 in the council chambers. The city of Miami, Oklahoma meets to gather input on residents for a possible mask mandate. Speakers last night included some who say a mandate would infringe on their rights and local medical professionals who worry that if something is not done, the healthcare system could become overwhelmed.
The house is on fire. We're getting exponential increase in our rates of COVID-19 cases, and the longer we wait to do a mask mandate, the more people are going to suffer illness and perhaps die.
The slippery slope. People don't understand truly what socialism is and what it means to start forcing things on people. When people do lose their freedoms, then they might understand. But how do you turn back? How do you go back to having those freedoms?
There was no vote on a mask ordinance last night. The city says the earliest one could be voted on is December 15th. Well, some Kansas counties make a decision on mask mandates following Governor Laura Kelly's new mandate. Crawford County has opted into the new mandate. Cherokee and Bourbon County opted in as well. Wilson County passed its own mandate that would require a face covering in all public indoor and outdoor places where social distancing is not possible, and that order will last for at least 30 days. A federal program that had extended unemployment benefits for an extra 13 weeks in Kansas will stop next month, just as new COVID-19 restrictions could lead to more furloughs and layoffs. U.S. Department of Labor informed the state labor agency that the Kansas unemployment levels had fallen below the eligibility threshold for the extended benefits program. The last payments for Kansans on the program will be the week ending December 12th. Joplin is getting a new restaurant, and area frontline workers got a sneak taste. Blackstone Gastro Pub is set to open on Black Friday, but yesterday the owner provided 160 lunches for healthcare workers at Mercy Hospital. He says he hopes the gesture inspires other local businesses to step up and help the people on the front lines in the fight against COVID-19.
We have to support our local community, and these people live here, they work here, and they're working so hard to keep so many people alive and keeping them healthy and in good health and get back on their feet.
The workers were treated to pulled pork, mac and cheese, coleslaw, and cookies. Well, 9-year-old Ronan Ruchnick has had enough, as he called for more recess. The Kenosha, Wisconsin student said after 7 hours of instruction each day, having only 15 minutes of play is not cutting it. can't really blame him. So he took his complaint to the highest authorities, the school board meeting. And now Ronan has to wait for the board to make a decision on his petition. Ronan punctuated his point at the school board meeting by finishing with the line, "I know that if I were you, or you were me, you would say the same thing." Well said.
Good
Well
for
said,
that kid right there. Coming from a family of educators, it actually is a discussion that I have with both my mom and my sister quite frequently, the importance of recess. I believe Missouri actually has a state mandate. Arkansas is trying to increase its.
You got to get the wiggle.
Kansas, when I say state mandate, it's usually only about 20 minutes is what's mandated. Of course, other schools have more than that. But yeah, 15 minutes of recess for a 9-year-old.
Yeah. You can't expect kids to sit still that long.
Well,
It
you
just
see,
doesn't work.
I mean, it
does not work.
It's 7 hours inside plus lunch.
Well, especially now when the kids are wearing their mask all day long in the building,
Right.
that recess period is, for most of them, that's the only time they
No,
get
it's
to
not.
take it
No,
off.
that is not true. That is not true. There are actually mandated mask breaks built in throughout the course of the day, so that's not true.
Some of them get them.
Also, too, it is shown to not only increase attention in the classroom, but it is also shown to increase creativity while writing and decrease BMI,
Body mass index.
Body mass index. Very important to keep kids healthy. There, we know where Hayslip stands on the extended recess. Thank you all for chiming in. Skywatch Storm Tracker, we've got light mist coming down even where we don't see the heavier rain. No thunder, no lightning, nothing like what we had last night where we had multiple storm reports along the Oklahoma-Kansas state line and then filtering into southwest Missouri along I-44 with wind gusts 50 to 60 miles per hour. Even had some hail come down in Montgomery and Labette County in Kansas. Freeman Health System sky camera, that mist still dotting our sky camera right there. 43 degrees, but only feeling like 36. There's a chill out there. 45 in Lamar, 41 in Independence, and 41s as well in both Neosho and in Anderson. Trough of the jet stream really made some headway, forcing all the rain as we get into the middle of the week to east of the Mississippi. And so for our Tuesday, while it's going to be rather bland and dreary, just hang on because we've got an excellent Thanksgiving a-coming. Skies are going to clear out for those of you that may be inviting family and maybe socially distancing and having an event outside. How about 62, sunny with no wind to fight on Thanksgiving. Don't have to worry about anything being blown out of your tables or your plates. And then we can get back down to the 50s. But I tell you, the holiday is shaping up to look great. Tanya and Zach.
Up next, Germany looks to use hydrogen-powered trains.
And we get some more great recipes from the KOAM Morning crew. You're watching the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14.
A New York family is celebrating life this Thanksgiving. A young father almost died from COVID-19. Michael George has more on his story of survival.
It's been 8 months since Nick Falvo was so sick with COVID-19, doctors told his wife he might not make it. Just before he was put in a coma, Nick called to say goodbye.
I spoke to my wife and my kids, and I told them how much I loved them.
My little guy said, "Daddy, you're the strongest daddy I ever known."
The 40-year-old was airlifted from a local hospital to Westchester Medical Center to get the care the sickest patients need.
I would explain to them that this man is a father. They have to do whatever they can to keep him alive.
Jackie Baldo was Nick's nurse in the trauma ICU.
He was one of the first patients we saw make a turnaround. So for all of us, it was kind of like a pivotal moment in the pandemic where we saw a light at the end of the tunnel. It was that reinforcement and positivity we needed to make it through another day.
Nick says he couldn't have done it without her.
I mean, honestly, I couldn't have done it without him.
38 days later, he left the hospital with dozens of staff, family, and friends cheering.
They said I was their miracle patient.
Nick has had several procedures and surgeries since. One to clear the massive damage the virus did to his lungs. He's also lost the use of his left hand, possibly from how he was positioned in his hospital bed. But he says despite the long recovery, he has a lot to be grateful for.
For my family, all my loved ones, but most of all, my wife. My wife saved my life. And If it wasn't for her and Nurse Jackie and the doctors at Westchester Medical, I wouldn't be here.
Thankful more than ever for family and his health. Michael George, CBS News, New York.
Westchester Medical Center Health has developed a recovery program to help COVID patients who are dealing with prolonged health issues. Well, Germany plans to test technology that promises to reduce CO2 emissions and help make 1,300 diesel units obsolete. The two-car train will have a top speed of 160 kilometers per hour. That's equivalent to 99.4 miles per hour for those of us who use miles per hour. And it can be recharged in just 15 minutes. It's called Mirio Plus H. Mirio Plus H. The train will be powered by battery and fuel cells that converts hydrogen and oxygen into electricity. The two-car train will have a range of 373 miles. Siemens says it would also develop a three-car version with a range of 621 miles.
Such as an interesting sight out the window, going 100 miles an hour through some scenic railway there. I'd give it a whirl.
A quicker way to get from point A to point B.
Right. No, I think that's pretty cool. All right, Tanya, let's talk rain totals. Coming off of our weather almanac that begins today. This is from Joplin Regional Airport. Now, we picked up about 3/4 of an inch yesterday, so that puts Joplin about 2 inches above where we'd anticipate being since January 1, about 45 inches right there. Here's what's curious. Chanute actually doubled that amount from yesterday, picked up about 1.45 inches, 1.44 to be exact. Almost set actually a record for November 24th. But fact of the matter is, okay, Joplin got twice as much rain as Joplin yesterday, or Chanute got twice as much rain as Joplin yesterday. Chanute's still about 6.5 inches down from January 1. Joplin 2 inches up since January 1. It's indicative of 2020 weather, isn't it? All right, so while we've still got some rain in between Nevada and Butler right there, even though it's not being picked up, there is a mist coming down just about everywhere else, and that's evidence from the Freeman Health System sky camera in Joplin. Southwest wind adding in a little bit of a wind chill right there. It only feels like it's 36 with temperatures ranging from the low to mid 40s. Trough of the jet stream. It started over here yesterday. In the span of one day, made it all the way into the Ozarks right there. Now it forces all the rain out to the east of the Mississippi, but the cloud cover sticks around and gives us pretty stagnant temperatures. Here's the important part, though. As we begin to clear off this afternoon, number one, our temperatures drop close to freezing for tonight into tomorrow morning. But look at this. This is a tremendous Thanksgiving forecast. You know, of all the fog and the rain and the chilly temperatures that we had for the first 3 days of the week, how about we go Thanksgiving with sunny skies, temps in the mid 60s. If you're going to do anything outside, it's just going to be 5 to 10 miles per hour out of the south. It's going to be the perfect holiday, and we deserve it after everything we've been through this entire year. Now, we're going to cool back off and get some rain over the weekend, but like I said, if Mother Nature's going to give us one break for this week, at least it is the holiday. We'll be back with more KOAM Morning News on Fox 14 right after this. Now, even if you're not planning the usual get-together for tomorrow, no shortage of Thanksgiving dishes that are going to be served in our KOAM News Now Facebook page and our Insta poll, asking what your favorite dish may be. Mel McKinney having turkey this Thanksgiving, while Trump supporters eating crow. I don't know. I think that everybody will be eating turkey or ham or something. James Hart says layers starting with potato, then we move to green bean casserole, then stuffing, and turkey all smothered with gravy. And Robin Town, I don't know if this is in order, but stuffing turkey and rolls. Happy Thanksgiving. Happy Thanksgiving to you as well, Robin. And Robin, if that is in order, right on board with what we're seeing on the Insta poll right now. Look at this. At the bottom, you go down to, or excuse me, at the top right there, you go down to stuffing and dressing at 34%. Now, I found this curious at the bottom right there. Look, pie and cheesecake actually getting more than turkey. You can log on and vote. Go to KOAMnewsnow.com/vote. Now it's time to check in with some recipes from our own morning crew.
Well, you can't make Thanksgiving dinner and forget the desserts. So this morning we're going to show you a few recipes that are fairly simple to make, and they're made by our own staff members. And joining me to show us how we made these magic cookie bars and cheesecake recipes is Allie Simon. She made the cheesecake. And our own Zach Dodge in the Weather Center, who made some magic cookie bars. Awesome. All right, Allie, let's go ahead and start with you. You actually made 2 cheesecakes for us this morning. Very generous of you.
Just overachieving.
Yeah,
crazy.
we've got a blueberry one and a cherry cheesecake. Now, from what you were telling me, that there's not very many ingredients in these. It's pretty simple.
Yeah, it's my favorite recipe to make because it only has 3 ingredients, so I can do it really fast and really simple. So you need a 8-ounce block of cream cheese, 1 cup of Cool Whip, and then 2/3 cup of regular sugar. And then I just went ahead and bought my graham cracker crust because I just didn't want to make it. It's so much easier to buy. And then you let your cream cheese sit out to soften for a little bit, and then you just dump them all into a bowl. And then I just took a hand mixer and mixed them together and dumped them in the pie crust.
So this is a really convenient recipe if you've got the oven occupied with several other things. And another perfect example of a recipe that you can make a day ahead, so there's less stress on you that morning.
Definitely.
Okay, so I'm really intrigued about these magic cookie bars that Zach made. What is in these, Zach?
So that is actually, they have graham cracker crusts, and that's going to take a cup and a half or 1 package of those graham crackers, half a cup or a stick of butter. Use real butter. Don't skimp out and use the margarine. Butter is so much better. And then you would normally use half a cup of chocolate chips, but you can switch it up. I used some butterscotch chips and chocolate chips, and then half a cup of shredded coconut, 1 14-ounce can of sweetened condensed milk on top of all that. You can also then throw some nuts or other toppings on there. So really simple, real easy recipe to make that is loaded with sugar, and you can't have Thanksgiving without it.
I was gonna say, if you are like an evil aunt that wants to sugar up the kids, serve them these right before they go home.
Definitely.
You can definitely taste the sugar in them. They're good, very good. And while you were telling us about that recipe, I tried out Allie's cheesecake, delicious as well. Did you try yours?
I did. I tried the blueberry one, and it is super good. I want to steal the rest of it, actually. So
I'm going to go ahead and
wanna
finish
hide it.
this as we go to break. And remember, later this morning, you can find all of these recipes on our website at KOAMnewsnow.com. Here in a little bit, we're going to have a mac and cheese cook-off. We'll be right back.
The pandemic is changing the way some people celebrate Thanksgiving, and it's changing how the Carthage Crisis Center is handling their Thanksgiving feast that helps feed people in need. KOAM's Caitlin Shives gives us a look at the preparations.
Preparations are underway for the Carthage Crisis Center's annual Thanksgiving feast to feed those in need.
It really is one of our biggest events of the year. We typically feed about 400 people in the community. On a normal occasion, we feed them in-house, and then we also deliver meals to people in the community who aren't able to come out.
But this year, because of the pandemic, things will look a little differently, with a focus on to-go meals and only family members of residents allowed inside.
They're able to have family members come in, provided they're completely clear of any COVID-related symptoms, and they're able to sit down with their family members socially distanced throughout our building so they can have Thanksgiving dinner.
Karen Anderson has been a resident at the Crisis Center for almost 10 months now and was relieved to know she could still celebrate the holiday with family.
It was uplifting.
But she also wanted to help out where she could, using her time to prepare the to-go meals.
I always help out whenever and wherever I can, so it's my way of giving back.
They are prepping around 400 meals for the community with contactless delivery, and volunteers for preparations are being kept small for safety purposes.
We've had such amazing support from the community, my own personal family coming in to help prepare food to make sure that we have enough so that no one goes without.
Each community member will get a hot and cold box full of classic Thanksgiving food, something those at the center worried wouldn't happen this year, but are thankful that it is.
Sometimes the holidays are really hard. Sometimes they're challenging enough. And so if we can be a bright spot and if we can be a place of reprieve for someone to know that they've been taken care of and they've been thought of, we want to do it. So then our shift focus changed and we wanted to say, okay, so how can we do this? It's not a matter of can we, how can we do it?
In Carthage, Caitlin Shive, KOAM News.
The center also wanted to thank the community for all their donations to help with the Thanksgiving feast this year. It's time now to honor today's four-state hero. Dustin Drilling is a first lieutenant in the United States Army. He served in Iraq from 2005 to 2006 and again in Afghanistan in 2014. A native of El Dorado Springs, Missouri, and a member of the 652nd Engineer Company, we salute you, Dustin Drilling. our 4-state hero.
Welcome back to the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14. And let's take a look at today's top stories. COVID-19 has an impact on many industries and fields, including manufacturing. Candy House Gourmet, which makes all of its products in-house, has taken extra steps to ensure its workers and customers are safe during COVID. Officials say it's beneficial that they are a food manufacturer, as many of the current COVID safety protocols were already in place. However, what they don't have is an increased workforce, which they need for increased demand during the holidays. The city of Miami, Oklahoma meets to gather input on residents for a possible mask mandate. Speakers last night included some who say a mandate would infringe on their rights and local medical professionals who worry that if something isn't done, the healthcare system could become overwhelmed. Some Kansas counties make a decision on mask mandates following Governor Laura Kelly's new mandate. Crawford County has opted into the new mandate. Cherokee and Bourbon County opted in as well. Wilson County passed its own mandate that would require a face covering in all public indoor and outdoor places where social distancing is not possible. That order will last for at least 30 days. Well, a federal program that had extended unemployment benefits for an extra 13 weeks in Kansas will stop next month, just as new COVID-19 restrictions could lead to more furloughs and layoffs. The U.S. Department of Labor informed the state labor agency that the Kansas unemployment levels had fallen below the eligibility threshold for the extended benefits program. The last payments for Kansans on the program will be the week ending December 12th. Severe storms moved through parts of North Texas Tuesday night. This is cell phone video out of Denton, Texas, where it shows the storm moving in with lightning bolts glowing through the night sky, illuminating dark, swirling clouds. Storm caused massive damage to buildings. Tornado warnings were issued for various counties. There was no confirmed tornado touchdowns.
Weather Service is examining the damage here. Got to wait till it gets a little bit lighter. But it was an absolute, we had our own storm reports, but Tanya, if you want to focus down here on North Texas, they had tornado warnings for Tarrant, Denton, Dallas counties, for those of you that may be familiar with the DFW area. Scary, scary story coming out of Arlington, Texas, where a restaurant collapsed onto a pickup truck. Luckily, the family had walked inside to order their hamburgers, and they were not in the truck when the building collapsed on them, and everybody was able to get out of the restaurant unscathed. Now, our storm reports actually came for the majority of them along the Kansas-Oklahoma state line with 50 to 60 mile an hour winds, had some hail as well, and then extended into southwest Missouri in the Joplin area and just south of I-44. As we currently sit, still have some rain that's just pushed to the east in between Nevada and Butler right there. The heaviest portion has moved off now on the other side of Springfield. But even though you're down here and you go, that's not, there is still mist coming down, and you're going to have to intermittently use those windshield wipers on the way to work. Interestingly enough, Chanute picked up 1.44 inches. I say that's interesting because it was only half that amount at Joplin Regional Airport, but it was widespread, and even though we had to put up with the wind and the hail, and I know it's going to have some people cleaning up just before Thanksgiving, it was nice to actually get some rain that was much needed. Our ground able to support it, take it in. No flood warnings, watches, or advisories in effect for us currently. 43 degrees is where we stand. Like I said, the mist still coming down at the Freeman Health System sky camera in Joplin, only feeling like 36. 43 in Carthage, 41 in Welch, and 45 in Fort Scott. The trough of the jet stream now just on the east side of Joplin has pushed all the thunderstorm activity for the most part east of the Mississippi. Little wraparound up here by Kansas City that stretches into Iowa. That will not affect our Wednesday weather. Matter of fact, we're just going to keep on getting better. Yeah, we got mostly cloudy skies today. Temperatures pretty stagnant, stuck in the 40s for the most part. Watch that southwest wind, really going to pick up later this morning into the afternoon hours, gusting up to 25 miles per hour. So remember, Monday was fog. Of course, yesterday was the thunderstorms. Today is just kind of dreary and overcast. So where do we go from here? Well, it was like we had to put up with 3 days to get this for a perfect holiday. So for those of you that are possibly going to do something outside with family and you're going to socially distance, look at this. 60 degrees, sunshine. The wind's not going to blow anything off the table. It's going to die down overnight. It's just going to be 5 to 10 miles per hour. It's going to be absolutely perfect. Then we're going to go back into the 50s with rain over the weekend. So Mother Nature is going to help us out for once. We'll be back with more KOAM Morning News on Fox 14 right after this. Morning Facebook page on KOAM News Now and our morning Insta poll. Simply asking, what's your favorite Thanksgiving dish? We'll resume our comments with Vicki Eldridge. She goes with cranberry salad and dressing. A happy Thanksgiving, everyone. Stay safe. You as well, Vicki. And Laura Cliphon Wright, good morning, she says. We say good morning, Laura. I love dessert the most, particularly my daughter's apple pie. And she got to try some of that cheesecake she just showed. Hey, Laura, remember, you can find that recipe on KOAMNewsNow.com. Interestingly enough, on our Insta poll, while, stuffing's been our runaway winner all morning long, turkey finally caught dessert. Here's some more of those recipes from our morning crew.
This morning on the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14, it's the Battle of the Creamy, a battleground where the savory and cheesy collide. Two men enter armed with only their mac and cheese, and one leaves as the cheese lord. This morning we present the Steel Cook. For today's judges, we have the Dirty Mule Dame, the Cuisine Queen, Tanya Bach. Up next we have the Lean Green Bean Machine, producer and mac and cheese extraordinaire, Caden Milner. And of course the most dashing gentleman at KOAM, the Craft King, Zach Dodge. Our competitors are KOAM photographer Liam Mandelbaum and director Nathan Martin. Let the Steel Cook begin.
All right, thanks, Zach. I got my mac and cheese up first. It starts with boiling the pasta. I prefer shells noodles. You can really do anything you like though. Then I do a little flour, a little butter, and some cheese. I just do about a pound of cheese for a box of shell noodles. Mix that all together, put it in a casserole pan, and then just put a layer of Parmesan and cheddar cheese on top and bake that in the oven for about 45 minutes at 375 degrees Fahrenheit. That's what I have prepared for you today. I think it's gonna knock it out of the park. I think I'm gonna do a great job, but our director, Nathan Martin, thinks he's gonna do a better job than me. So here he is to show me up. What do you got for us, Nathan?
Well, I have a more American mac and cheese, if I don't say so myself. Something without so many frills, just good old-fashioned mac and cheese. You start by just pouring a box of pasta into boiling water for about 9 minutes or so. While that's going, you get another saucepan going with your heavy whipping cream and a half stick of butter. Once that starts to warm up, you want to throw in your Velveeta. It's usually a good idea to kind of slice it up a little bit so it's easier to manage, melts a little bit quicker. One thing that we like to do a little different in my family is throw in about 4 ounces of cream cheese. And then of course you salt and butter to taste. Once that cheese mixture is good and mixed, you just add your pasta to it.
May the best mac and cheese win. All right, judges.
I will.
All right, judges, what do you think?
Thanks, Liam. We have the fabled mac and cheese with us now. This one is Liam's first, and I tasted it a minute ago, and it's got kind of a savory flavor with some pepper and seasonings and everything like that. It's actually a shell instead of an elbow, and so it's pretty good and got a nice bite to it. What do you guys think?
Yeah, it's definitely like a very fancy tasting mac and cheese, and I actually do really enjoy it. It's good.
This would be an excellent selection if you were attending an adult Thanksgiving party, because I think the flavors in this would be pleasurable for someone our age, or millennials, or like just maybe not for the kids though. I'll be honest, some of the flavors I don't think my kids would enjoy this one so well, but I really like it. But keep that in mind when you're planning who you're cooking for.
Definitely. Absolutely. And then we have Nathan's here as well. It's much more creamy, got way more of a traditional macaroni and cheese vibe, like with that Velveeta in there. It's actually a noodle or a spiral. I can't tell, honestly, because it is so creamy and thick. Really good as well. What do you guys think?
Yeah, absolutely. I really enjoy Nathan's mac and cheese. It's got a definitely a very creamy texture that's more traditional.
But this one is perfect for the entire family.
Definitely, and I think that pairing them together even is really great, because you have Liam's that has all of the spices and the pepper notes and everything in there. And then you have Nathan's that's a little more toned down and creamy and more traditional. But What do you guys think as far as crowning a winner?
Oh, this is tough.
Yeah,
I know,
absolutely.
right?
Okay, how about we do this? On the count of 3, lift up the one that you believe wins.
Okay.
1, 2, 3.
If you can't tell, I think Nathan's should win.
I picked Nathan's too.
Me too.
Just because I'm cooking for the family this Thanksgiving. I loved yours, Liam. I absolutely loved yours.
It is
but
good.
I'm cooking for the family,
Right.
and I might just add this one tomorrow.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely. They're both great. I can't argue that.
If you'd like to make either or both of these recipes, you can find them on our website, KOAMnewsnow.com. All right, well, we've had an amazing morning of sharing dishes from macaroni and cheese to green bean casserole to some pretty tasty desserts. And if you missed any of those, you can find them online later this morning at KOAMnewsnow.com. Now, we're ready for the culmination. Of course, we have my recipe, but we also have the turkey that Michael made that we've been talking about all morning. I'm so excited to try this. Joining me right now, we have Michael and Zach Dodge.
What up, Zach?
Switching places
Michael.
here. Zach, you're in the Weather Center. I like it.
Yes, I am over here. I
Where
don't
you've
know
been
what
all
I'm
morning.
doing here, but you know.
Real quickly, let's go through my recipe. This is a cranberry salad. What I liked about this one was a lot of times when you buy fresh cranberries, they get expensive. So this recipe doesn't use the fresh cranberries. It uses a can of the whole berry cranberry sauce. When you're making this though, you want to make sure and like really mix that up pretty well so you don't have the huge clumps in there. But if you get them, that's okay. And you can make this the day ahead, which is highly recommended. So that's one less thing to make on Thanksgiving Day.
Good call.
All right. Okay, so Michael, your turkey. Tell us how you made it.
Yeah, I did a wet brine this year. Usually for the morning crew, I'll do a dry brine, but I wanted to try something different. And also too, with that wet brine, Tanya and Zach, you know, when you're feeding a number of different people, I didn't want it to be overpowering, so I kept it relatively simple. I went with salt, kosher salt, sugar, and some Italian herbs. So like I said, with different palates, I didn't really want to make it to any specific liking. So it's rather generic. I thought the wet brine would keep it a little bit more moist because our time frame, eating in the morning and everything, is a little bit skewed, cooking it overnight. The white meat, I think it's a little dry. I'm going to be honest with you. The dark meat, however, at the bottom, I think it turned out great. I just used a little chicken broth there in the bottom while I was cooking it overnight. I also want to say this, you know, whether or not you guys like my turkey, it's second to what I want to say. I want to take this time and I want to wish everybody a Thanksgiving, and I want to tell all the people here, all the people that work on this morning show, how much you mean to me and my family, because we don't say it enough. Oftentimes too, in the pandemic, we're just kind of passing each other in the halls and we're doing that social distancing thing. So since I have the opportunity to say it right now on camera, I want to tell you all that me and my kids, we absolutely love all of you to death.
And I want to second that as well. Michael, I mean, you're a big part of our KOAM family here. Zach, we are so happy to have you with us on our morning crew this week.
Super happy to be here.
We've
been fun.
enjoyed working with you, and obviously we've always considered you part of our family, part of the extended KOAM family for sure, but
For sure.
you're welcome to come back to the morning show anytime.
Sounds good. I'll make sure to do that whenever I need to, and Jesse's gone.
He's like, I won't get up this early unless you go feed me turkey.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah.
Hey, if there's turkey in
we
there,
on the morning
for
show,
sure.
we like to eat.
I don't blame you, my man. All right, I want to thank everybody in the crew for cooking with us this morning. I hope maybe you picked up a recipe along the way. If you don't use it this year, maybe put it in your put the old memory bank. Maybe use it next year. We'll be back with more KOAM Morning News for you right after this.
Welcome back to the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14. Here's what's happening today. Health experts fear the Thanksgiving holiday will intensify the surging coronavirus pandemic. Officials across the country have urged people to spend the holiday at home with as few family members as possible. Many Americans appear to be ignoring the warnings. Up to 48 million are expected to hit the roads to get to their Thanksgiving destinations. President-elect Joe Biden introduced his national security and foreign policy team to the public on Tuesday. The group includes former Secretary of State John Kerry, who's set to become the nation's first ever climate envoy. President Trump is spending Thanksgiving week at the White House this year. On Tuesday, President Trump took part in a long-standing presidential tradition, the pardoning of a pair of turkeys. Let's check in with Michael with a final look to forecast.
It pushed out to the east, but however, it is still misting, if not drizzling, on our early Wednesday morning. And it's going to be a little bit of a dreary one, mostly cloudy skies, temperatures just stuck in the 40s. It's going to be windy too. Coming in from the south, we'll see some gusts of 25 miles per hour. Now we got to put up with today to enjoy tomorrow. An absolutely gorgeous Thanksgiving Thursday in store. And even though it's going to be close to freezing here early Thursday morning, by the time we get into the noon hour, sunny skies, mid-50s, top out in the mid-60s, and we don't have to fight the wind if you're doing anything outside. Now, talk about Mother Nature's cooperation. Look what happens on Friday into the weekend. Back down into the 50s with rain. But you know what? We'll take it for a one-day respite on a Thanksgiving Thursday. Hey, got a chance to finalize our Insta poll this morning. We were asking what's your favorite Thanksgiving dish. And not surprising, it took off from the get-go. Stuffing and dressing, #1 at 33%. We didn't break our tie yet. We've got turkey that made a comeback, a strong 19% compared to the pie and cheesecake, which also finished at 19%. If that changes, guys, here in the next 1 minute, 2 seconds, I'll let you know.
I have an idea, Michael. What if we kept that poll going through the noon? We're going to be making some classic mashed potatoes in the Mr. Food Test Kitchen.
All right, wait a
It might be
second.
fun
Hold on. Is this
that poll
you?
going.
This is you twisting my arm?
I think so.
All right. Oh, okay. All right. We'll keep it going through noon.
Let's
So
find out.
you still got a chance to chime in. Go to KOAMnewsnow.com/vote. KOAMnewsnow.com/vote. And as soon as I said that, look, somebody wanted to chime in. Somebody wanted to come back. Now we've got, at the bottom right there, pie and cheesecake beating turkey.
Ooh. How could you do Thanksgiving without the turkey?
I'm going to turn it into the Derby here at the noon, and down the stretch they come.
All right.
Thank you so much for letting us put the good in your morning.
Hey, we're going to be here tomorrow morning for you on Thanksgiving. Completely understand if you're busy cooking, flip on over. We'll have some fun while we're doing it. Have a great Thanksgiving, a very safe Wednesday, and we'll do it all again tomorrow.
Yep. Have a great morning and an even better day.
Hi, I'm Scott.